good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain. Also,
today is February 9, 2026, and it's 28 degrees here in Lagos. I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, so we are getting a lot more, reactions, as it were, concerning the unfortunate incidents which, for some reason, continues to make the rounds in the country. We're talking about the killings in different parts of the country by terrorists, bandits, all those kinds of groups. And so we know the one in Niger, Kwara, so all Kaduna, so all of those things keep going on. But the Pope has tweeted about this matter, just expressing his condolence and solidarity with Nigeria and those who were attacked and killed. Therefore, calling attention to this, that this needs to stop. We need to do something other than just deploy troops after that is done. So there are several questions about all of that. So the Pope did express sorrow and concern over the latest wave of deadly attacks on Nigeria. This is a direct tweet from him now, which has claimed dozens of lives, and expresses his hope that authorities will continue to work with determination to ensure the safety and protection of the life of every citizen. So different waves of abduction, at least. We also do remember that 51 persons were abducted and 6 killed over the past 3 days during attacks on 4 different villages. And then you have that in Kaduna. But according to Nigerian security sources cited by foreign press, local press, the attacks took place in the southern part of Kaduna State, predominantly a Christian area, where more than 180 people were abducted in January. This is just chronicling all of those scenarios that has been happening over time and why we need to rein all of this in. But then there are questions when these kind of things happen. Why is it that we just never really hear narratives like investigations being carried out either by the police, something, but we just most times deployment of troops almost immediately, who in many cases we do not hear if they are on the trail of those who perpetrated those acts or just going to protect the places. Why did they put out in the first instance to give room for this kind of things to happen? So all of those scenarios keep happening, but it never appears as though we are just placing our finger on what the issue is and doing things specifically to address them. That is so heartbreaking to families of all of those who lost their loved ones, Ayo.
You know, I believe that we are not always looking at what the real issues are, Chamberlain. I believe that we allow these things to happen, otherwise they wouldn't happen. Now, if you observe, successive presidents have had to deal with these issues since, I think, President Jonathan. And most of the time, at the presidential level, not much is really done at that level to deal with the issues. It was also on this station that we hosted a northern elite who said, look, we don't have an excuse. We northern leaders, elders, political leaders and all, we must find a way to call ourselves into a room, have serious conversations, because we have no excuse. At that point, he listed that all the top hierarchy of security personnel in Nigeria were all led by northerners. And how come, despite all of that, that the North is still having the same kind of issues that it was having? That's not to say, as you said, Chamberlain, of course it's true, that's not to say that the issues are not taking place in the other parts of the country as well. However, can we at least pay attention to what is possible? The question you want to ask again is, what are the real issues here? I do not believe, I continue to express my confidence, Chamberlain, in the capacity of our security apparatus to deal with whatever the issues are. There is always a security brief. There is always intelligence to say, okay, this is likely to happen, that is likely to happen. How come we are not able to get ahead of it? I don't believe that these things are happenstances that couldn't be curtailed. Why is the president, for instance, not giving as much attention to it as one would have expected? Not because he can't do it, but we have governors in place in these places. We have we have governors. We have them in blocks, in regional blocks. We have them in individual governors. We have them as a region. So for the sake of all that is right and fair, how come we're not able to get ahead of it? How come we can't prevent? The security and welfare of the people is the primary function of government, be it federal, state, or local. So anyone that cannot provide those for people should resign. Or don't even take the job in the first place, because you're not getting into a job that you didn't know anything about. The issues that were happening in the Southwest, some of the governors said, enough of this, and the issues have been dealt with. Just recently, we saw what the governor of Anambra State did. Said, you guys are locked down for 1 week. And by the following Monday, the whole place was agog with activities. It's just one decision, because these things are not happening because they can't be curtailed. Chamberlain, you and I know these things are not, it's not rocket science. They're not ghosts. They are people. And they can't be tracked. How come we can't? Those are the questions we should be asking about ourselves. And it's not just about security personnel or the security apparatus. It's about the people in the communities, because all of this insecurity happen in the communities. They happen among people, and they happen to real people. These are not just statistics. These are destinies being truncated. How come we can't get ahead of it, particularly at the local levels? Those are the questions we should be asking. We shouldn't be, as you usually say, Chamberlain, papering over cracks. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be following this particular one where we can get ahead of it. What's the problem? Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves, Chamberlain.
So, as a matter of fact, because even the security agencies themselves, they need to look inward. It's not now that this narrative of having a mole amongst them rings or resonates, because the community said they did right. And then, somehow the information leaked, people spread the news, gave word to the bandits, and the rest, as they say, is history. But you know, we keep trying to see how we could get it right. Leadership recruitment process. We keep trying to see how do we ensure that we're led by at least persons who've got conscience, persons who won't just keep lying and trying to deceive us as though we're all fools in this country. Yes, one of the reasons, or one of those ways, it's with the elections, and the controversy generated by the National Assembly continues to resonate. The President of the Senate over the weekend was speaking about how and why perhaps the Senate took the decision they took, or the position they did, even though many of their colleagues were also dumbfounded because they had agreed to go a particular way, approving and adopting real-time electronic transmission of results, but that didn't happen. So he spoke at that book launch, and then, of course, the one-time President of the Senate equally spoke at that same function. So let's have you listen to both of them.
If you want to use bicycle to carry your votes from one polling unit to the ward center, do so. If you want to use your phone to transmit, do so. If you want to use your iPad to do anything, do so. If you have network in your area, go ahead with transmission. But all we said during discussion was that we should move the word real time. Because if you say real time, and there is network, what I call grid failure, and then the network is not working, when we go to court, somebody will say it ought to have been real time. That was all we said. Then we left the burden to those who conduct election, INEC. INEC will determine the mode of transfer or transmission of votes. If you make it mandatory that we must do it real time, electronically, go and look at what happened in America between George Bush and Al Gore. By the time the votes came in Palm Beach vote scandal, Al Gore had actually won the election. But what happened? George Bush was declared while the votes were still hanging during electronic vote transmission. Even the best of countries are yet to get it right.
Your Excellency, my brother and friend, a very distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is the president of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Godswill Akpabio. My friend and brother, the executive governor of Akwa Ibom State, the author of the book, and his dear wife, that there should be electronic transmission. Let INEC decide whether they can do or they cannot do it. Don't speak for INEC, just speak for the National Assembly. And what the public wants is, let there be electronic transmission. Now, if INEC cannot do it, it is in their own problem. That's their own problem. Not for you to speak for INEC. It's as simple as that. But that's just a by the way issue. It's not a serious issue, which we have raised. It's a by the way, it's a tangential issue to.
Yeah, so as you may know, the Senate did pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026. But instead of clarity, it has reopened old anxieties about the integrity of Nigeria's elections. Key provisions around electronic transmission of results, voter safeguards, and timelines they've all triggered backlash, with civil society organizations warning of protests this morning, accusing lawmakers of weakening the hard-won reforms. Now, with the House and Senate now at odds, attention shifts to the harmonization process and whether this amendment strengthens democracy or tilts the field in favor of political convenience. Joining us to discuss this is Honorable Zachary Mohammed. You may remember him, Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs with the 7th Assembly. Good morning. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thanks for having me.
As they say, long time no see.
It's been ages, eh?
You just disappeared from...
But I can see that age is setting in you, eh? Well, that's nice, eh?
In a good way, but I don't have that
You used to be, boisterous, but at least...
I'm still boisterous.
I like how you are now.
More dangerous in a different way.
I like that.
So let's start off with, as a matter of fact, your constituency. I mean, it was heartbreaking for a lot of people when they saw that story. Many people couldn't actually wrap our heads around that one, just as we have in several other cases. We understand the communities had written letters, they had warned certain things were supposed to be done, but it was not. So what can you tell us about what happened?
You know, it's a very sad development, and I tell you that if you know the topography of that area, you know, we have the Bogu Game Reserve, which of course covers from Niger, some part of Kebbi, some part of Kwara, some part of Benin Republic, northern Benin Republic. So it's a very large expanse of land. So these non-state actors have found themselves inside. That's where they stay. And from there, they come out to cross Sabok and go back. I think federal government should pound the place. We just need air power to just get rid of those people. Because it's annoying. You go to a whole village, slaughter about 200 people. Why? In this time and age? It's painful because they have an army barracks which is not too far away from this community that happened. There's a battalion there. There is a Nigerian Air Force in Nibusa. Kwara is a border community between Kwara and Niger. So even though the road is very bad, the road is about 84 kilometers from Kayama to Nibusa, and Kwara is within that place. So I think that the government just has to be very, very, because that has set us back several years. Because the truth of the matter is that these are rural people who are just subsistence farmers, who are just living from hand to mouth. Then you go massacre them. They don't have here, they don't have the how. In a country like Nigeria, it's very sad. And that's why I was sad that the VP visited Kwara and refused to go step his foot there. It's very sad.
Did they give any reason why that?
I don't know, whatever reason it is. Whatever reason is it. He's gone to Niger. He's gone to Mokwa. He's gone to see people and empathize with them. But our people, he refused to go there. So for me, the state governor went. He went in the night, in the dead of the night. And that's commendable. He went there for about 2 a.m. When he reached Kayama, after visiting the emir, they told him, he said, where is the place? And they told him, and he drove there that night, about 2-3 p.m. I commend his guts. If the governor can do that, what's stopping the vice president taking a chopper from Kwara, Ilorin, to that place? And there, of course, the new Busa is there, where you have the Nigerian Air Force, you have an airport there. It's very sad, and we take exceptions to it. We're people in Nigeria, and we should be treated as Nigerians.
Yeah, and part of what we also highlighted in our opening sequence is that we consistently keep trying, of course we can't stop trying, to get our leadership recruitment process right, so that we can have persons who can take the right decisions, so we don't have to be faced with this kind of scenario where hundreds of people will just be killed in 2026. So that's really sad. And one of the ways is through our elections. And so the Electoral Act is in focus at the moment. So that controversy about what the Senate did. Interestingly, the House of Reps, they've sailed through this a long time ago. So they had passed theirs. And so they were just, in fact, off the record, some of them told me they were kind of surprised when the Senate came up with this position. But of course, you have a lot of backstory. What's your impression of what happened?
For me, I just want to warn Senator Godswill Akpabio and his principal officers and senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have a lot of friends in them, to say that, look, don't take Nigeria several years back. Somebody introduced a card reader. He lost election because of the card reader. There's supposed to be an improvement on that. I was listening to my friend Kazim, very unfortunate, that he was trying to defend the indefensible. In the 21st century, if POS can work in my village, can work in the next hamlet, what's stopping us from adopting electronic transmission? I ran 3 elections as a politician. I won 2, I lost 1. So for me, I know what it takes for somebody to contest and be fairly and squarely defeated. Then, of course, if you look at the coups that happened surrounding us in West Africa, they were the result of bad elections. So why do we take Nigeria is the most important country, black nation in the world? So countries like Kenya, when I listened to them, when they were saying that countries don't, electoral transition is on, you are defending indefensible in the 21st century. Countries like Ghana, Kenya, Namibia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Brazil, Mexico, the United States of America, Venezuela, France, Estonia, India, UAE, and Australia all transmit their results electronically. Let me tell you what happens. I listened to Kazim. If elections will be rigged, they are rigged from collation centers. Because what happens in the polling unit is that there are agents there. Sometimes between the polling unit to the ward collation center, that's where the havoc happens. But if you transmit from the polling unit to the ward collation center, to the RF, nobody will change the figures, because you will have the hard copy, you have the soft copy. In fact, people have moved down to electoral kiosk. What you have electoral kiosk is like an ATM machine. You see the parties with their logos. You punch when you put in your electoral card, and it's there. Nobody's tampering with your results. So how would senators sit at the 21st century and be telling us that, no, because in my village, sir, Starlinks work everywhere in the world. It's a private concern. So they should stop speaking like that. And I get sad, because this is an institution that made some of us. How would people be saying that? It is, I'm sorry to say, it is retrogressive. It is sad that men, but history will record them, because they will have children. And we will put people's faces to say that these are the people that destroyed our electoral system.
But I mean, clearly,
because the current provision is saying it's putting the entire powers in the hands of INEC.
In fact, let's go to that.
And you know what INEC will do? That INEC should be at leverage to tell us which style they should. Let the law be cast in stone. Shall be mandatory. Transmission of it shall be mandatory. That's what we just need. So that there's everybody will have to work, all of us will have to work towards how the results will be transmitted. Look, if you lose an election fair and square, you go home and sleep. But if there are chances that you were being manipulated out, then you would go and resort to self-help. And that's been our problem. Yeah,
so the section that they retained, which is now clear to everyone, because initially 65. It was confusing. Yeah, the presiding officer shall transfer, which is the operative word, the results, including total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballot in a manner as prescribed by the commission.
That is a problem. So, and that is what we want to avoid. They should avoid it. So that no man sits in Abuja and begin to discuss or determine what happens to an election that is taking place in Aganebody. No. Let the results will come. Let it be mandatory so that we work towards improving ourselves. Remember, somebody brought card reader. Remember, these electoral systems, we can't take us back. You can't take, no country does manual fixing of results. Yeah. Not, I'm sorry to say, we're not, some of these are neighbors now.
So
there was an election that took place in a neighboring country for 2 weeks, the results did not come out. And you knew what the results were eventually. But don't take us back there.
Haven't been a lawmaker yourself, because, I mean, some of his senator colleagues were also surprised at what happened, because they had agreed in their closed session that they were going to pass real-time electronic transfer of this result. What do you think could have happened?
It's simple. I'm sorry to say, there are senators there who exactly don't know why they're there. Because whatever you do does not last forever. You would play your part and just leave. And of course, some of them believe that they can't win their elections or coming back there unless they resort to self-help. And it is when this gap is left, that's where some of them, with due respect, there are some senators there that are very popular in their constituencies and can win election any day. But there are a lot of them who will not win election. So they're hiding on that. But you cannot, because of your own convenience, throw a lot of people under the bus. And that's exactly what is happening. And I want to say that it is selfish, it is self-serving, and of course taking us very, very back. And I believe that President Tinubu says he's a progressive, and that he's been at the vanguard opposition. He was a senator of the Federal Republic. His wife is a senator. I want him to come out to let Nigerians know that for the first time in history, he has stood up to say, let votes count. And that's all. Anybody that wins fair and square, that's all.
Okay. Well, I understand. I mean, there's going to be a protest today in the National Assembly on this same subject matter. So we've got our man, Friday Kirkby, who is on cue. He's right there at the premises. So Friday, tell us, what is going on at the moment where you are?
At the entrance of the National Assembly gate in Abuja, and I can confirm to you that a sizable number of protesters have been arriving. We have members of the civil society organization from different organizations that are already arrived. We also have a handful of some members of the African Democratic Congress, like ADC, who are also here. We have some women groups that are also here. All of them are right here at the entrance of the National Assembly for the protest. I can also confirm to you that there is a huge deployment of security personnel, comprising the police, the army, and also officials of the NSDC, that is Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps. So we are here. The protest has not actually kicked off. It's still waiting the arrival of other protesters who will be joining them. The police is already barricading the entrance to the National Assembly gate, just behind my camera. You see that taking place. So there's much preparation, much gathering of protesters here.
Do we know if they are going to get in to the National Assembly? And because, I mean, yes, there will be a sitting tomorrow. From what you see on ground is likely to happen when they do convene? Is it just they convene, speak to the press, hand over a letter, and then the message will have been sent?
I spoke to some members of the civil society group that are here earlier on. The feeling I got is that the protest will happen at the entrance, just where we are standing right now. This is where the protest will happen. They do not intend to go into the National Assembly premises because, like you rightly said, they are not sitting today. But they intend to pass their message right here, the entrance of the National Assembly. And even if they had intended to go in, the presence of security men that are already barricaded the entrance would have made it impossible. But I also have a member of the civil society group who is joining the protest to see here. If you don't mind, I'd like to bring Austin Aigbe to the program. So I'll ask him, let's hear from him firsthand, if they will proceeding, and maybe after protesting a while here, if they will be entering the premises of the National Assembly or not. Mr. Austin Aigbe, I saw you earlier on. You are one of those who are leading this protest, members of the civil society ally. What do you intend to do? Do you intend to protest into the premises of the National Assembly? Like I said, we are quite aware that the Senate is not sitting today. We are aware of it, and we are very aware. What we are trying to do is that the Senate will be meeting tomorrow. We are reconvening tomorrow, and we are aware of it. We want to send the message ahead. As they go ahead to confirm their vote of proceedings, they should react quickly and do the right thing that is actually on the vote of proceedings. What we know already is that the Senate truly voted for transmission of results in real time. But what the gap will be is different from what is in the vote of proceedings. We are asking simply ensure that you pass the vote of proceedings that has a real time process electronic transmission of results. That is key too. Is the timeline. How can you move timeline when we have already passed the head of INEC within 180 days? We have passed that time for Christ's sake. We are now in 360 days. You can't be going back. It's extractive in nature. It's restrictive of democracy. It does not consolidate our democracy. We must enhance this process by making transition of results key to 100 days, 3 days from now, INEC will release its plan. Hey, why are you suffocating voters? Let the voters breathe. Why are you avoiding printout, BBC printout? We have many individuals whose BBC printout. We have many individuals whose BBC is missing, those who can't collect it. Can't they just print it online? The BVAS does not require the card, the permanent card, as it were. What it actually needs is a VIN number. With the printout, you can vote in an election. Why is the Senate undermining the voter turnout? We are already grappling with low voter turnout. This will enhance voter turnout, and the Senate has said no. Among other things, like I said, we are not going in. We are, once they come, even if they send someone to represent, we have a position. We are going to make that very clear.
All right, so Chamberlain, you just heard him. It's one of the civil society leaders that are participating in this protest. So it's clear they do not intend to go into the National Assembly premises, but they will be here, and here is where they intend to pass their message. They are expecting that the member of the Senate will come and receive them, and that is where they will put forward their position on this whole matter. And like I said, in front of this whole issue is the issue about real-time transmission. We do know that the Senate has given series of explanations since last week that they didn't reject electronic transmission of votes. But the protesters are interested in that expression, real-time transmission, to be included in this piece of legislation.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Friday. So we'll keep tabs and see how that protest progresses in time. Honorable, let me ask you. I mean, the fact that the Senate will be sitting tomorrow, do we take that as though that is them caving into pressure and that they will do the right things?
It's very difficult to predict Akpabio's Senate. There were Senate presidents who have come and gone, but his case is a very classical case of, I'm sorry to say, that Senate. I tell my colleagues very openly when I see them, I said, you guys are going down history as a bunch of characters that Nigerians will begin to ask. If you say you're a senator, they will tell you which of the senates. So if you say you are for 3rd Senate, then of course they will have a place for you. If you are from the 9th Senate, 8th Senate, I'm sure they will find places for you. If you look at it, if an arm of government like the legislature is compromised and democracy is dead, I just want the senators to remember where they're coming from, to remember that they're representing a people, and that they should make sure they put it right. Our colleagues in there, some of our colleagues in the House of Representatives, which used to be the radical arm of the NASS, but it has turned to even worse than the Senate under the leadership. It's very unfortunate, and that's what happens when the executive gives you a leadership. That is what happens. It didn't happen in the 8th Senate or 8th NASS or 7th NASS or even 6th NASS. But from 9th NASS to 10th NASS, you're seeing a different National Assembly. And some of us are happy that, thank God, that we were there when at the golden era of the Assembly.
Yeah, Ayo's got questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Well, Honorable, I recall a report Christian, at least, ascribed to an ambassador designate now, Juma Ibrahim, saying that, look, as far as he is concerned, the perspective we should be looking at is the perspective of the Supreme Court. the Supreme Court had made certain declarations and that the National Assembly was only giving teeth to it. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, the part that Chamberlain read is saying that INEC should be the one to determine the mode of transmission. And you also listen to Senator David Mark saying, look, don't speak for INEC. Let INEC come out to say whether or not they can do it. Do you think it's weakness on our part? Do you think it is because we can't trust INEC? Does everything have to be, you know, spelled out in black and white just before we can really obey it?
Okay, Ayo, let me, I got one part of your question, but let me answer the one I've gotten. The first one I didn't get, bordering on Jima Ibrahim and, of course, the Supreme Court declaration. But the second one, I think I've heard it. You don't put the destinies of Nigerians in the hands of humans who you don't trust. The people who are in INEC are human beings. They are prone to everything that I and you are prone to. So let the laws be very, very clear that real-time electronic transmission will be done from the polling units to the World Collation Center straight to the IREF. Let it be very clear in black and white. Nigerians are very intelligent people. If you give them lacunas, they will operate on the lacunas to get away. So, and that is why laws like the electoral law, because if you want to practice democracy, the bastion of democracy, the foundation of democracy, the soul of democracy is the electoral law. If the election is free and fair, if you lose an election, you won't even go to tribunal. But that is exactly why I think David Mark's declaration is very, very valid, and I support it. Let INEC speak for itself. You cannot be doing INEC's job while in the hollow chambers as the senator. So I think I agree. But I want to listen to you to take your first leg of the question bordering on Senator Jima Ibrahim and the Supreme Court declaration.
Speaking a little further to the issue that you have raised now, the question that I'm asking, essentially is, can we trust INEC? Or you're saying we cannot trust INEC to do what is best for us. We used some electronic devices before, and I am sure you remember the fallout of it, what happened with IREF, what the issues we had with BVAS. That there are those who have also raised issues about internet penetration in Nigeria. If we are going to determine exactly, how we want to make progress about this, do you think, speaking as a Nigerian and as someone who has held decision-making platforms in the country before, do you think we are technologically and infrastructurally ready for what we are asking for?
Ayo, you are from, I'm sure you are from a village somewhere in Nigeria. True?
I'm listening, go ahead.
You are from a village somewhere in Nigeria. There's no country, no part of this country where you don't have the POS, for instance. And they transact businesses. And the internet penetration, anybody that tells you that is not being too sincere with you. Internet penetration is valid everywhere. I told you, I gave you, without advertising, I gave you an example of Starlink, for instance. They are everywhere in the world. And there are other ones like that. And INEC can even have its own dedicated one. So for you to say that we won't have internet facility all over, I want to debunk that. And thirdly, yes, the people in INEC are the people we are going to use because we can't get people from the space. However, let the laws assist them. No matter how good you are as an INEC officer, if the laws are not very clearly stated, you can be manipulated by the powers that be. So let the laws be very clear. Let it be cast clean, clear. It doesn't take anything. That there shall be real-time transmission, electronic transmission of results from the polling units to the World Collation Center straight to the IREF or straight to the IREF. It's simple. So that even if our friends, our brothers who are in America, who are in every part of the world, can monitor the election and follow it. Let me tell you, the Edo election, for instance, we were following it on IREF, and it was going on. Only for it suddenly to say it started developing glitches. In 2023 too, the results were coming in, but at some point, They said there were glitches. So in order to stop these glitches or no glitches, let the laws be very, very clear so that we know that if results are not electronically transmitted, they are not valid results. So that let's have a baseline. Whatever we can do to make it valid or to make it work, we will do. Nigeria has the resources. We have the resources. And we have development partners who support us. Don't forget that they support us. Apart from the budget provisions we do to INEC, there are development partners from developed democracies that come to assist us. So these are the things we put forward to them. So it's doable, my brother.
So clearly, what we want to see in this section 60, subsection 5, is that there shall be real-time electronic transfer of results, yeah, whether it's accredited voters or the ballot in
from the polling units
straight on to. Okay, so that clause must be expressly.
Yeah, it should be expressed. When you say shall is mandatory in law, and shall means that you cannot do this. But if you put the language in such a way that it shall be in a manner prescribed by somebody, you have started.
They can then manipulate it.
Very well.
So they should expunge that part.
That is it.
In the manner prescribed by the commission.
That is the crux of the matter. That is the crux of the matter. And that Nigerians are not asking for too much. And I believe that way, as a politician, I told you that I ran 3 elections. I won 2, I lost 1. I know exactly how it feels to be on the field, to be on the ballot. And if you lose elections and you believe that you lost it free and square, you go and prepare for another day. But where there are ambiguities here and there, you will now begin to waste time of the courts, waste time of the system, and now they will be swearing in members or senators midway into the term. Then you can't get value for whatever you.
Are you going to join that protest much later today?
Now, we definitely. I'm an opposition member, and I think it's opposition movement that is doing it. We'll go there and let them see us. Let's tell them that, look, this thing is not right. There's a way you can do it. We were here before. We know that you can do these things. Put your names in gold, gentlemen, and let this matter rest. So that if Mr. President is able to garner his support and win, he wins. Yeah. If anybody wants to, he wins. Let's build a country. We were there yesterday. Some were there the day before yesterday. Some are there today. Some will be there tomorrow. So let's build a system that is strong, that can sustain, and that can keep us on moving. Let me tell you, buying a vote, all those things will be cut to the barest minimum.
All right. Honorable Zachary Mohammed, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Chamberlain, nice seeing you after a very long time.
Yeah, same here.
All right, thank you.
Ayo.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Before we get into them, of course, this matter is not over. Another conversation on it is coming shortly. But quickly, let's take you to Kwara Bridge, where Chris Illems, my colleague, is there to give us an update of what's happening right there now. There have been complaints about traffic bottleneck along that route, and here we are. Chris, what's new?
Hey, thank you, Ayo, and thank you, Chamberlain, and all members of the crew. Well, we are right here at the Kwara Bridge, just in front of the World Oil filling station. And it is quite slow, a bit slow, but very loud this morning, because as of yesterday, 4 p.m., they had cordoned off the road for the second phase of the rehabilitation work that is set to begin today. We've been to the point of repair. We thought we could transmit from there, but the network was so poor. Well, hopefully work would begin today, and for the next 6 weeks, the situation is going to remain like this. But the FRSC boss, who is actually here with us, has said that the men would always be stationed here to ensure a free flow of traffic. So far, it's been very, though slow, but it's been free in a way. And another challenge we've actually seen is that those who drive against traffic, some of them are still trying to do that, but the FRSC, they say no more of that. That is not going to happen today. So if you are caught driving against traffic, you would definitely go for it. The only few challenges I've seen are that men in uniform, they are mostly the ones who drive against traffic. Security men, flag flying vehicles, they drive against traffic. And of course, the motorcyclists, they also driving against traffic, but the FRSA, they are saying no to that, and they are putting their foot on the ground. We have the sector commander here, Kehinde Hamzat, who's been on the ground. Maybe just give us an update of what has been happening so far. Good morning to you. It's been a hectic morning for you. How has it been?
Well, God has been faithful. We have done a strategic deployment along the corridor. If you can see, no one is allowed now to drive against traffic. Right from Wariwa, that's where people try to enter the long bridge, but we refuse. The DPO Wariwa and other people are doing a yeoman's job, because we have the men of the Nigerian police right there at Wariwa, Nigerian Army, and of course our men are all there ensuring, even trace, we are all there ensuring that no one drives against traffic. Yes, people coming into Lagos will feel some pains, because definitely as a result of the construction, there's a form of backlog. But if it's moving, it will be better than we blocking both sides of the road. Because if we allow driving against traffic, at the opic turning, you discover that there will be a complete gridlock, that both sides of the corridor will be affected. But as it is now, people going out of Lagos towards Ibadan, it's a free flow. Like you can see, it's free. People going out into Lagos as a result of the construction have some element of backlog, which is not unexpected. All we need is discipline. Discipline. We have arrested some people who try to drive against traffic, and they have been put in places. They may be fined, as well as presented before court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay, I just noticed some of these security or flat-flying vehicles still taking one way. What are we going to do about that?
It is wrong. Many a times we will take some of their details, like I saw one pass when I was at the opic turning. We've taken the details, we will report appropriately to the management. The kind of penalty given by their management is much more than the one we will think we want to give, because it's a stain on the agency, it's a stain on the person in question. It's an abuse of office, which is not supposed to be.
All right, how long will your men, how many of your men have been deployed here? How long will they stay in a day? Are they going to also be here at night?
They will be here till evening. Towards evening, traffic flow will be more of outward Lagos. So the construction site would receive less of traffic. But our men will always be on ground, because we have scheduled them on shift, including men of other agencies, because like you can see, we cannot do it alone. You see the military band, you see the trace people, you see our own vehicle. All of us have agreed that as long as this project continues, we will always be there.
Thank you so very much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, that is the Lagos Sector Commander of the FRSC, Kehinde Hamzat, giving us updates on what's been happening so far. A lot of traffic here has been attributed to lane indiscipline, poor road management, but they say this time around, well, while the construction would last for 6 weeks, they would be on the ground to ensure that some of those vices are nipped in the bud. Thank you, and back to you, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Chris. One thing that we know it might be difficult is they will not be able to run 24 hours. And those hours when they are not there, some of these things can still happen. But maybe it's a matter we can take up with them subsequently. Thank you again for your reporting, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, Chamberlain, that's one of the things that even though we have legislation, we can't really legislate behavior, can we?
Well, maybe you should try and get there in the middle of the night. Let's see how that works. But speaking of which, I wish you all the best while you try that, though. All right, well, keeping up with the protest here in Abuja, we've got Bukola Idowu here with us. He's the Executive Director of Impact Development Initiative and a member of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Well, your man, your team, they're already on the ground. The protest is on. I understand they're marching from Federal Secretariat going to National Assembly to make a point in terms of what they actually want. So, well, is it that the Situation Room and your team, were you surprised that this actually came through, or because I understand that the other committee had met. They had met your groups and everybody had agreed that, okay, look, this is what was going to play out.
We were very surprised. In fact, we call it like, it's more or less like a coup, because you agree on something and then suddenly not only we agree, the committee went through the nook and cranny of this country, conducted public hearing, and citizens submitted memoranda and things, and then civil society. And at the end of the day, it looks like this is what Nigerians want. And suddenly, of course, after that, after the public hearing, there was a meeting of the two houses in Lagos where they harmonized and they have a clean copy. And they agreed that, look, it's going to be transmission. It's going to be a 10-year ban for vote buyer. Then they are retaining the 1-year notice of the timeline. At the end of the day, December, the House of Rep passed exactly what was agreed. And then just late January, the Senate went back on what was agreed, and which technically is taking us back years ahead on our election, concerning our election. And that is why citizen, civil society, all of us are saying no, because we have to make that statement now. And the question we are asking is, if you know that transmission is going to enhance transparency of our election, most especially election results management, why are we going backward that have not been proven to give us the kind of transparency we have been desired? So why are we going backward? And that is why we are gathering, that is why we are protesting today, and that is why we are calling everybody to also add their voice to this, so that we can have a complete transparent election come 2027.
I know that, yes, they will be sitting tomorrow, even though they had adjourned to February 24, but they will sit. Do you, of course, you have to be optimistic that perhaps they will do the right thing and make it expressly spelled out that shall be electronic real-time transmission of those results?
Yes. So if we've not taken the decision we have taken, everybody talking about it, it's not only the civil society talking about it. Interestingly, professional bodies are also talking about this. And then, in fact, the IT sector also see this like, look, this is not really looking good on Nigeria, to be given an excuse that in the 21st century, in the 2026 Nigeria, going to 2027, you are saying, no, there may not be internet across everywhere, so we may not be able to transmit elections. So everybody is adding their voice. And I want to believe that is one of the reasons why the Senate is convening tomorrow, because initially, you recall, they've adjourned plenary till 24th. And then, of course, based on that, we commend them. In fact, we have had people that say, oh, they are convening tomorrow, there is no need to protest. No, we need to protest.
Is it not too early to thank them, to commend them?
Commending them that they are going to sit. Now, that is why we are protesting. We are not commending them that they have done the right thing. It's too early. So we want to see that, look, and that is why if they are going to see, you see, we cannot do anything if they decide not to call off their sitting and move their sitting backward. But that is good. But what we are now saying that today, we want to remind them that as you sit tomorrow, you still have ample time to correct this. And that is the entire idea.
Ayo.
Chamberlain, perhaps one of the issues to draw here, Mr. Edo, is how we carry Nigerians along. Now, one of the arguments that was brought forward earlier when we engaged Honorable Mohammed is that, you know, the senators, the legislators, they may not be able to go back to base. And you say you have traversed the CSOs have traversed Nigeria and gotten this position that this is what Nigerians want. The question then is, how do we get Nigeria to own this in public so that not just at the federal level, but at the state and local government levels also, they're able to own whatever it is that we are campaigning for?
So, I mean, if you follow the sequence of the public hearing that was done across the 6 geopolitical zone, we saw Nigerians coming out, emas, and then make presentation on various issues, most especially on this issue of transmission. Now, look at it this way. 2023, how good, I mean, no matter how good that election was in 2023, the missing link and what everybody keeps saying, no, this is not really good about 2023 election, was the issue of the IREF and the transmission of results. Now, nobody is complaining about logistics, whatever. Nobody is talking about, oh, election was not shifted. Everybody says, oh, the election was good. We've made progress. However, you promised that you are going to transmit, and it did not happen. And that is what really made a lot of Nigerians to say, look, at that election, have a lot of gray hairs. And don't forget, 2023 election, we have it, data shows us that we have more first-time voters compared to past election. Now, those first-time voters are these young people that, because they saw the promise of transmission and IREV, real-time, and then they want to be part of it. Now, at the end of the day, everybody was disappointed. Now, if you go online, you see the conversation. You go even offline, you see the conversation. But the reason why it's looking like it's an Abuja thing is because the Electoral Act is not really like, how would I call it, like a constitution amendment that you still need the 2/3 of the state to pass it. You will have seen people besieging, moving into their state houses of assembly and then telling them to vote in favor. But because this is between the National Assembly, the moment they are done, they transmit it to the president. And that is why the mobilization, because the decision maker, the people that we alter and amend and make progress on the Electoral Act are here in Abuja. And that is, interestingly, people are even coming from outside the federal capital, coming in to join the protest today, interestingly. So it's not like an Abuja protest, it is Nigerians. People that
I just want to be sure
physically are talking online.
My apologies,
and again,
Mr.
over
Ido.
the weekend, people have been calling their senators, people have been sending email and been sending SMS to their senators.
Yeah, I just want to help Nigerians understand exactly what we are asking for. And you raised a very vital issue now, that in the aftermath of the 2023 elections, there were issues that arose from glitches. And even Mr. Zachary, Honorable Mohammed, when we counted him, also said the same thing. And almost every time we have had elections and we have used this electronic transmission, whatever, there were glitches. Can we legislate glitches? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, would you recommend a backup in the event that such a thing happens? And if there would be a backup, what would you recommend?
Okay, so I will take it from the second question. Number one is this. The proposal that the Senate rejected did not talk about solely electronic transmission of results. So what the proposal talks about is that you transmit and you still have the hard copy as a backup, as a to confirm again. So you have the hard copy of the form EC8A and then the other form EC40G and the rest. You have the hard copy, and then you, in case of anything, you have that to fall back on. Nobody is saying eradicate that. So you have that, and at the same time, you see, all over the world, I mean, the guest earlier mentioned a lot of countries at which they have been transmitting election results. But they have been also able to put in place cyber security, which is not difficult for us to do in Nigeria. So you have to put that in place. At the same time, INEC have backups. And the backup they have is not only situated with only one server, and they have it spread across. And see, and the issue is this, which will have been more relaxed if it's INEC coming out to say, look, we don't have capacity to do this. Now, but INEC, don't forget, this is not even a new thing. This has started since 2020 in Edo, Ondo election, when INEC introduced the IREV and the beavers to transmit. But in 2023, something happened. There was a glitch. And that takes me to your question. Can we legislate glitch? No. But there was a glitch. And that was the end. Everybody just moved on. And the reason why everybody moved on, because that issue of IREV, beavers, and this transmission and the glitch doesn't have legislative backing. You recall the decision of the Supreme Court. You see, when the results were unable to be transmitted, what happened? Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, those were one of the reasons they went to the court. And the Supreme Court said, look, because IREF did not work and they did not transmit electronically, it's not a sufficient ground to invalidate the election because it is not in the Electoral Act. It is only situated in INEC guideline. So, and meanwhile, Electoral Act, Supreme Court emphasized, Electoral Act supersede the INEC guideline. So what is Nigerian asking? What are we asking? So far, the Supreme Court have said, look, this thing is in the Electoral Act, the INEC guideline, and INEC guideline cannot supersede this. And you cannot hold INEC account and just hold them and say, look, because you did not follow your guideline, and we cannot invalidate the election. So what is Nigeria saying? Take that portion from INEC guideline and move it to the Electoral Act, which they have done in their sitting, and the House of Rep passed that, and the Senate rejected it. So what am I trying to say is this. You can legislate this. The moment this is being legislated and given the force of the law, INEC will not come and say, there is a glitch. Think about it. There was a glitch in 2023. INEC conduct independent audit on what happened. Is it technical? Is it operational? Is it human-induced glitch? Nobody knows. And nobody could hold them accountable because there is no law anywhere that says, look, you must do that. But what we are now saying is that to also encourage accountability, because an institution who spent over 100 billion on IT for the election come out and say there was a glitch, and Nigerians move on, and we moved on, and everybody is moving on. Even in their final report, they repeat it, there was a glitch. What caused the glitch? Nobody knows. So if these have the force of the law, just like electronic accreditation have the force of the law as of today says, if you bypass beavers for accreditation, then the result of that polling unit will be cancelled. That is what the law says. And that is why everywhere, everybody uses the beavers for accreditation. Yeah. Then just make sure this is also in the law. And that is the best way to do it. So even if there was a glitch, then they will quickly tell Nigerians, it's either you shift the election and say, let's resolve this glitch, and then we move on, or you just conduct exactly what happened. So there will be accountability, and people can be held responsible.
All right, so all eyes will be on the Senate by the time they convene tomorrow to ensure the right things are done. So yes, you can see right there, the protests already going on in the National Assembly. Yes, they will not be able to enter in, but they're making the point that this is what we want, and we also understand that they will be there tomorrow to continue the protest. So we will equally be there as well. So senators, you are notified, hereby notified. So we hope that at the end of the day, they will do what the people who elected them want. Bokalaido is the Executive Director, Impact Development Initiative, and a member, Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
That wraps it up this morning on the program. Thank you all for watching. We will see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Osop. Goodbye.
And I'm Ayo. Mike in the Business Morning is on the hour.